Hi, and welcome to yet another episode of the Immigrant Success Canada's podcast, your coaching program for a successful and happy life in Canada. My name, co-founder and co-host of this show, is Emmanuel Petrescu, and I have my partner, Charlie.
Hi, I'm Charlie Beck. Nice to meet you.
And today we have a very special guest, a entrepreneur, a very successful businesswoman, a very successful immigrant, you might call, and a dear friend, with her permission, a coach and a mentor, Martha Chen. Hi, Martha.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
As you already know, the listeners who already seen our previous episodes, our coaching program is tailored to newcomers to Canada, and Charlie and I, have made it in such a way that addresses all the things that we wish we had when we came to Canada. And before we dive right in and get to know Martha a little bit better and what she has to say, Charlie, would you take just 20 seconds to tell everyone about our program for those who are hearing and listening to us for the first time?
Absolutely. Our program is for immigrants to help them to be successful and happy in Canada for the next 20 years. So we provide very high quality coaching program for immigrants. So if you want to know more about our program, visit our website, please.
And with that, we're gonna jump right in. And as many have seen, the title of this episode is How to Become a Successful Entrepreneur in Canada. And obviously, we're gonna discuss more of the entrepreneurial spirit. But before asking Martha some of the questions, Martha, would you care to introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell us just a little bit about your history, your background, and what do you do at the moment?
Sure. Of course, I'm an immigrant. I'm immigrated to Toronto, Canada, from Hong Kong, where I grew up. I came to Canada when I was 17. So obviously, I went to school, but just for a few months before I went to university. I have worked both at companies and also been a serial entrepreneur since I was 33. That was 38 years ago, something like that. I can't remember. I'm
Wow.
68, so you do the math.
Wow, that's great.
So you have a longer term perspective, and I believe you actually, Marta, are our first guest who has been the longest in Canada. So congratulations.
Oh, thank
And
you.
what did you do? You said you had several jobs, but mostly focused on your business. In what field? What's your main domain of activity?
The primary one has been in offering marketing services to companies. For the last 20 some years, I have owned a marketing agency. And then the agency that we focus on is working with divorce professionals. 95% of them are divorce lawyers, 99% of them are in the US. I also have another business as a coach. I coach individuals in their personal life, and I also coach leaders and organizations.
Amazing. So I guess the first real question, not that these weren't real questions, would be what could be some of the important things for you in terms of running a successful business in Canada? And the back backstory of this question is, if a newcomer, somebody who comes to Canada, might consider having his own business as opposed to going to the employment route, or has the long-term vision of opening up his own business, what would be some important things in terms of running a successful business?
Before I dive into sharing with you my viewpoint of what are some of the key factors to being a successful entrepreneur, I'd like to mention that I worked as an employee in three different companies before I started my own company. For me, it first of all, I was young, right? I had no working experience. I didn't even think of starting a business, just coming straight out of university. So I worked for three companies.
I
In
know.
working with the three
Oh,
companies, I learned how to be a good entrepreneur. First job I had, I didn't like it at all. Looking back, I don't know why I took it because maybe it was convenient, it was there, they paid well, so I took it. Soon into it, I found out that's not, I don't like that. That's not what I am interested in doing. I'm always interested in marketing. Their job says that I was going to be in their marketing department, but they weren't doing marketing, or at least not the kind of marketing that I wanted. So within, I'd say, 7 or 8 months, I decided that I'm going to leave. So I planned my exit. So the point of telling you that story is you got to do what you love to do. Money is a factor, but it cannot override your passion and your love. Then I moved on and I got totally marketing, right down my alley. I learned so much while I was there. It was with American Express. So I was there for 5 years. Then I moved into the marketing agency business. It helped me to understand how to service people. And then I started my own marketing agency.
oh, quite the story, and we'll probably at some other time get a chance to get to know even more details on that story. But basically, what I'm hearing is that you took the employee route first before going into the on having your own business. But I guess the question would be right now, have you ever considered when you started or when you had your first job that you really didn't like that you'll have your own business,
No,
or it came naturally?
it evolved. It evolved to the point that when I had my third job, I didn't like the culture. While I loved the work, I didn't like the culture of that company that I was working for. So I planned my exit. One thing you should know, I'm going to be proposing that we always plan our own future. Don't wait for someone to say, hey, I think this is next for you. Yeah, I'll listen. But if you don't plan your own future, someone else will have a plan for you. There is a quote like that. I'm not good at quoting 100%, but the best way of knowing how your life is going to turn out is to plan it.
So that's great, Martha. My question is, you love the marketing. For me, I'm a finance guy. I love the finance and accounting. So, what kind of things attract you marketing? And because our audience are thinking about, okay, what kind of field I choose, or do I change it when I move to Canada? That's another big decision. So, what attracted you marketing?
First of all, Charlie, I'm so glad there are people like you who love finance and accounting. I absolutely am not into it. And later on, I will say something about this as one of the key factors to having a successful business. So I'm not, that's not me. What happened is when I was at university, I came to know by taking courses. There were 10 compulsory courses I had to take before I can take the next 10 that I choose to major in. In doing the compulsory courses, I came to know what I liked, what I didn't like. I like analytical stuff. I like logic. I like results. I don't. I didn't like the woo woo stuff. It to me it was just a little bit too far fetched for me. Now remember, I was 21 when I started. No, not even. I was 19 or 18. I can't remember when I started university. Life experience was not one of my forte, right? Then when I took my first marketing uh, class, I had a fantastic professor, so fantastic that she triggered my love for marketing. She was so great that she was always lifting us up, that we could do better, not by punishing us, but by pointing us in the right direction. So I did at least 2 or 3 classes with her. I also did finance and accounting. That was compulsory. I couldn't wait till I got my average grade just so I could go back into marketing.
Maybe
Okay,
it
that's
was
good.
the teacher of finance. Who know?
Maybe. Yeah. And a quick side story. Uh, I met up with her. For the longest time, I have said to myself, I wish I could thank her. I wish I could find her and thank her. Well, what do you know? At one event, I happened to see her. I went up and I said, "Are you Alice Courtney?" And she said, "Martha Chan."
Oh, she
I
remember
was,
your name.
yes, I was so
Wow.
shocked. I was so shocked. This is now 30
Wow.
years later. We haven't been in
Wow.
touch. 30 years later. And she said to me that I was one of her best students. Maybe that's why she remembered.
Wow. Wow. That's
So,
unbelievable.
so
Wow.
one of the points I wanted to make is that if you do what you love, you will be way more successful at it. I cannot even tell you if I were to be an accountant, what a failure I would be.
You know what? You are one of very few people. A lot of people are struggling. Okay, what is my purpose or what is my dream career or like that? Struggling even university and my 2 children, my son and my daughter, the same thing. They are still struggling and those things, right? So you are a very lucky one there about that.
I am, but don't get me wrong. I didn't know what I was going to do until I walked into that first marketing course. I did
Mm.
not know what I was going to do. My brother said, "Well, you should become a doctor." I said, "No, I faint at the sight of blood, so it wouldn't be too good for my patients." Right? I knew what I couldn't, wouldn't want to do, but to find the love of my career, I would say at that early age, I was lucky.
And the fact that she remember your name after 10, you said 30 years or something, that's
Yes.
marketing at its best, right? um,
Yes.
this brings up an interesting point. Basically, a teacher, it's more than a teacher, right? It's a mentor, it's a spiritual leader, might call it whatever, right? How important having someone to even hold your hand, but even guide you, and even up to an extent just to talk to you and just to know that they're there and to be able to guide you in your direction, not right direction or wrong direction, but in your direction. And that's what something Charlie and I are trying to do with our program. We've
Mm,
structured it in such a way that will give everyone will paint a bigger picture of what their life could be in Canada and help them decide what's best for them. Because, as you said, Marta, I know the quote, I can't remember it, but somebody will make a decision for you. But you actually have the possibility to make that decision for you. If not, somebody else will make it. So might as well be you who does that. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Now, my next question I had here is there anything for immigrants to know, based on your opinion, before jumping in the path, in the water of entrepreneurship? And the reason I'm asking you is this because the generations have changed. Let's say somebody who's 22, 23, 24, and he's very talented in a special field. Let's think about programming, right? Web development. He can he already has more of a freelance mindset, so it will probably be easier for him to start his own business and so on. So that's why we're asking all these questions for the not necessarily younger generations, but the different possibilities one might have when he comes in Canada from 2023 and beyond.
Absolutely. I believe in today's environment where online presence is the key, you can start a business, even if it's just you, as long as, and I'm going to put my marketing hat on, that you have an online presence that is credible. You could assemble a team of people who are only freelancers behind the scene, that you tap into their talents when you have a client who has a need for them. You don't have to have the team all assembled, working for you full time, paying the salary of full time employees. Today's environment is so different from when I started 30 some years ago, when there was no internet, nothing is online. A lot of things are face to face. So I would think that the opportunities are boundless these days.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Now,
I then let me add a couple of my comments or view based on Martha's point because I think I love partnership with Emmanuel and I because I'm my background in finance and Emmanuel has a digital marketing kind of we get together. So even though we are doing as part-time basis on this business, that's exactly what Martha told us. So for new immigrants and immigrants coming to Canada, you don't have to commit 100% to your new business. You can be part-time basis and then get experience. And then when you are ready, you can start it. So as Martha said, that was not possible 30 years ago, 40 years ago, right? It was very, very difficult. But now, because technology and all the connection is possible, right? I think that's a great point. Yeah.
Mhm.
and I will also reference the previous episodes where we discussed that in Canada you can be happy and successful running any kind of business you might imagine. So we have digital marketing, and finance, but it doesn't need to be in these necessary fields. It can be any field basically. If you like animals, you can have a business like walking the dogs or pet caring. If you love anything else, right? Think about cars, think about basically everything that you can imagine. Canada, as opposed to many other countries, Canada offers you the possibility of being successful and also happy in the field that you desire or love, as you said, Martha. So thank you for that insight. Now, another question that comes into play and has been prominent for the past couple of years: work-life balance. How does a business owner deals with balancing the work life and the life, so to say, family and so on?
Mm.
And I believe you can talk for hours on this subject, but let's keep it to, let's say, 7 minutes.
I don't know if I could talk for straight 7 minutes. Work life balance, there is no definition except your own. To go back to your point, Emmanuel, to be happy, there's no definition. It's your definition of what happiness is. Some people just love to work, and that's how they're happy, right? I love to work. I'm very happy working. I have a family. I have a husband. We have two children and we have three grandchildren. We love them. We spend time with them. I also love volunteering. I spend hours volunteering. The minute you start to think, really have to start. I don't like this. That's when you can begin to dwell into an inquiry as to, well, then how would you change it? Right? So, work life balance for me, given that I'm 68, have has also evolved over the years. It's not the same as it was when I first started. And it's not the same since I sold my business 7 or 8 months ago. So work-life balance is whatever that make you happy. Go with it. Don't let anybody tells you, except your spouse. Why I say that is that we have heard of the saying happy wife, happy life. Well, it's actually for me, it's happy spouse, happy life, right?
Yeah. See, now, no, I never heard that expression before I got married. Only after I heard it. Sorry to interrupt.
And actually, Martha's points makes me think about my wife. My wife works every day,
Yes.
so 7 days in a row, and then I told her, honey, you need to hire new employee and then take off. But she loves doing the work, and then for her right now, that's for her work and life balance, right? And
Yes.
another thing, Martha, you told me was that as I getting older, my work and life balance is also changing. That's exactly, I agree with you about that.
Yes. Now we spend more time with our grandchildren. Well, we also didn't have them. The first one came along 4.5 years ago, right? But I also want to say that you do need to work it out with your spouse. It's very important to work it out with your spouse. Something is, I'm going to say to my advantage, is that for the last 17 or 18 years, I worked with my spouse. We co owned the business. I joined him. He started the business 27 years ago. I joined him 10 years later. Because we work together, we spend a lot of time together already.
Wow.
So the scenario wasn't like I go to work, I never see him until I get back. It wasn't like that. Some might say, oh boy, that's a recipe for disaster. That's entirely up to you how you manage the relationship, right?
And that's actually a reality for our day and age, since many people work from home and inevitably work with their spouses, regardless of their wishing to do so or not.
And actually, I like to hear advice from Martha because, as I told you, my wife runs her own business, and I help her. And sometimes tell she tells me that, honey, you have to do it better, okay? So she kind of scolds me or like telling the so. Sometimes I do my best, and then why to keep complaining about it, right? So I'm kind of frustrated, right? And so how to deal with when you support your spouse, right? About that.
It's very simple. You ask her, what would you like? Don't guess. They'll tell
Mm.
you. Guessing is not going to give you the answer. Guessing may be a start, but you have to give up what your idea is that would please her. Same for her. You have to ask each other.
Mm.
Does that
Okay.
help?
So specifically ask her, okay, honey, what do you want me to do, right?
Yes, yes.
That
For sure, when you're in a partnership, there is division of labor. I'm going to call it that way, right? My husband never really cooked and will never cook. So that's okay, right? He will always say, Martha, what's for lunch? What's for dinner? He'll say that all the time. What am I supposed to do? Sometimes I'll say, well, give me half an hour. Most of the time, I do all the cooking. Or I'll say, let's order in. He's happy to do that too. There are multiple ways of solving a problem, if you will, right? And we don't even view it as a problem. It's just something to get handled. No big deal. Most of life, no big deal. There's a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff.
That sounds
Okay.
like a topic for an episode just by itself, and maybe we'll have Dan to join us as a guest. And for our listeners who don't know, that actually works, and I can confirm because Marta and Dan, her spouse, gave me my first job when I came to Canada. So they're my previous bosses. Now they turn to mentor, and I like to call them friends with their permission. I hope they like it and they agree with that. And it's a honor and a privilege to have Marta today as guest, but have them close to my heart because I have learned tremendously from them, from the work ethic, from the dedication and the passion that they have for the craft. And we have spent countless hours working on serving the clients because I like to say that's where I get my high in satisfying the client. And I learned that from Marta as well. Now,
Thank you for your
I do
kind
want to
words.
make, sorry?
Thank you for your kind words.
Oh, no,
We'll
it's
be
my
friends
pleasure.
forever.
And it's the truth, right? I do want to make a note that people who might watch us coming from looking at us from different parts of the world might say, okay, but these guys, I'm not there, I'm not like them. Canada, I like to remind them that Canada offers you the possibility to actually do these things. If you are passionate about what you are doing, if you work hard towards it, you can be successful, you can be happy. And as opposed to many other countries, including myself, I come from East Europe, post-communist country, and there are many other places on this planet that are not as smooth as in Canada. So that's why they're considering coming here. There is possibility for you to succeed and be happy, and that's why Charlie and I created our program, Immigrant Success Canada. And if you're interested in learning more how we can help, what does our program cover, you can visit our website at www.isc-go.com, where we'll have more information about our program, about its modules. And Charlie, just in 5 seconds, would you like to mention our five program modules?
Yeah, absolutely. Our program is for long-term success. So we developed five modules. So, oh, here's screen, right? Five modules. The first one is self-assessment, and then education, and then work and life balance, and then the natural beauty of Canada. And then last module is your action plan for success for the next 20 years. So through our program, you can learn all those five key topics. So that's about our program.
Thank you so much. And I've put a ticker on the screen, but for those of you who are listening to us, www.isc-go.com is the website where you will find the video, the audio, and the transcript of this episode. We'll share links to Marta's website and Marta's contact information, as well as everything in regards to our program. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, and that's that. So, without further ado, would you like to say anything else to our listeners, Marta, as a closing remark?
I'd like to answer your original question when we first opened up this
Is
podcast. You asked me what are the success key factors for having a successful business. First, love what you do. Second, know your stuff. You can't fake it. If you don't know, there are lots of ways to try and acquire more knowledge. Then don't start the business yet if you don't have the confidence that you know your stuff. Then create a team of people who know things that you don't know, such as I said, you need an accountant. Call Charlie, right? don't get into the, I'm going to say, misguided notion that you can fake it till you make it, especially if you are in the service business where you are the expert, you are the consultant. Someone comes to you, they ask you a question, they expect an answer. You don't get to say, wait a minute, let me get back to you in 2 days. On some topics you can, but not on all topics that you are the expert on. Then the other thing is get yourself a coach. I love that you guys are offering this program. My acknowledgement to both of you for initiating this. Have no doubt that people who are willing to be coached will get a lot of benefits out of your coaching program. Two last thing is have integrity with the way you run your business. This is no longer just about the skill sets that you have or the service that you're offering. Having integrity applies to any business, doesn't matter what your business you're in. There are, I'm not going to take this time to expand on what integrity is. I think you know intuitively what it is. And if you don't, get some coaching from Emmanuel and Charlie. Get a coach on integrity if that's what you feel you wanted to know more. One final tip is be generous. Be generous with your clients. Offer them more than what they ask for. Offer them more than what they expect. Be generous with your employees. Do the same thing with them. They are not just your employees coming here for a paycheck. They are here to develop themselves. I always say to a new employee, someday you're going to leave us. And they'll go, what? I just started. This is my first day. Sometimes I even say that in the interview. I say that because I want them when to leave the company being a better person, not just a better professional. That they're gonna get by the fact that they are going to spend time working with us, working on the projects. They're gonna be a better professional, but we want them to be a better person. When they leave, someone will benefit from them. And also be generous with your suppliers or providers. They are such a key part of your business. Those are my tips.
Oh, great. Thank you for your great comments. Mm,
I can't add anything to that. So
mm,
thank you so much for watching and listening to us. My name is Emmanuel Petrescu. We had Marta Chen as a guest and my co-host and partner Charlie. Wish you the best and see you and listen to you, hear us in the next episode.
Thank you for having me.